How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're doing a quiet, relaxing, I don't know, some dulcet tones for this one, a little more than usual, but we're talking about Derik Queen. We're gonna watch this Kashigi cut up. Shout out to him as always. Queen has been one of the most fun prospects to watch of any of the 2025 draftees, and I have not seen this, so we're gonna react live scout to this Ohio State game. Shout out to Junie Mobley, who I'm sure we'll see. But like, subscribe, comment. We're on our way to 10K by the end of the year, and it's looking really close. Y'all are the best. Anyways, let's get to Queen, who is going to knock down that mid-range jumper. The mid is definitely going to be important for Queen because he's not a three-point shooter, but definitely looks smooth. He wasn't a huge volume mid-range shooter in high school either, but he's looking pretty good on these, and I like his willingness to take the open ones. Defenses are certainly not guarding him as a shooter, so Queen isn't like is gonna have to basically prove that he can be a shooter before defenses are really gonna respect him like that. And man, Queen is really good at creating separation in the post. Ends up getting blocked here. This is like a really impressive this is a really impressive recovery by this big, but great job by Queen ripping through. Look how low he gets right here. His shoulder below the defender's shoulder. Again, a very nice play there by number 25 on Ohio State. More post work. Oh my goodness, that footwork is nasty. Look at that right pivot foot, or that right foot swing starting right here, ends up right here, like one. Oops. Ah. I don't know how to. I don't know what I did. Well, now you guys get to see my recommended YouTube videos. Okay. Anyways, Derik Queen spins, scores. Now we're all fixed. Live little fixing session right there. This is the kind of nighttime film recording that we're doing right now. But anyways, let's continue talking about Derik Queen. And I think handling is such an underrated skill for bigs nowadays. When I made a video about undervaluing handling bigs last year, maybe I'll link it somewhere. But Queen, I think, might be one of those guys where he is a legitimately dynamic and controlled handler, and obviously a beautiful little shot. And the handle doesn't just help Queen be a primary guy, but it helps him be a more scalable off-ball contributor as well. Someone who can run DHOs and like secondary stuff and invert pick and rolls and all like the cool modern ball handling big type actions that we see in the league, and great strength as well to just run through that guy right there. Queen is a very strong person. He's a little older for a freshman, but I do think he's just like skilled potentially enough and smart enough to make it work. Not a particularly dynamic vertical athlete as we can see right here. Not the most graceful leap of all time, but also not an amazing pass. And Queen is really strong and gets the rebound. Definitely has some questions about his interior game on both ends just because of his lack of size. But oh my goodness. Look at the sky hook, man. Oh my goodness. Derik Queen is so much fun. You just don't see players playing like him very often these days with the kind of skill and how oh my goodness. Derik Queen puts this defender in jail. Basically has a free run. Like, he is a good athlete. Queen can definitely move in space. He's not like so explosive, but for his size, he can really move and just in total control of this game. That's getting blocked here, but I love this little subtle pump fake, right? Like, doesn't even lift up one of his feet. And, oh my goodness, Queen is so much fun. I really might just continue to be too low on him. He might just be that guy. Queen here, working on the roll. Looks like he's going to turn the ball over there. Yeah, that's going to happen, especially for young ball handlers. I don't concern myself with turnovers like that, really. But another one right there. Queen just kind of losing the ball. Unable to control right there. Great lob pass in space. Queen is a really great passer. He just hasn't done a ton of it in this game. He has some much more high-level passes in other games I've watched. But let's get to the defense, where definitely I have more questions about Queen's like motor and engagement at times. Like, yeah, he probably can't get to this, but I'd like to see him maybe try to get over there. Like, he's not a great interior defender. His mobility is actually quite good, which maybe we'll see in this. Like, he's really good sliding on the perimeter, very quick and laterally fluid for a guy of his size, but not always the most active rim protector. And sometimes unwilling, but like relatively good and smooth moving through that screen. Like he can really defend on the perimeter, and I think maybe again carve out a niche as like a 4 defender. Good job there, and again that's not his fault giving up that bucket. But Queen hopefully can be this like semi drop versatile. Is that a queen? Is that a queen steal? Maybe, but it definitely looks like he was involved using his length as a deterrent there. But that is definitely a queen steal. His hands are really good. He's not like the most excellent rim protector in the world, but he does have good hands and nice contest up there high at the level. I'm trying to remember. I think the Marquette game was a really impressive defensive game from Queen, if I'm remembering correctly, in terms of his movement on the perimeter, but just not a ton of involvement in this one. But yeah, I do have some worries generally about shorter centers who don't shoot and protect the rim, and the kind of team building limitations. Is that's a good job by Queen moving and drop high at the level. Yeah, it's good stuff. Definitely like his potential as a drop defender, given some of the mobility he's able to showcase. But again, non-rim protecting, non-shooting center. It's kind of tough to build around. Maybe Queen can develop that shot. Another really nice. Yeah. Again, I do really like his ability to open his hips, slide. That's a maybe he was leaning his arms a little forward, but still feels like a little bit of a questionable call there. Yeah, these are great hands again. Queen's skills might make it tough for him to build around if he can't develop into a primary guy, which maybe he can't. I mean, maybe he's just a skilled enough advantage creator for a big to totally become a legit, oh my, great rotation there. Okay, this might be this is one of the better rotations I've seen from Queen this year. Great verticality, beats his man to the spot. Like, does a really good job here in terms of recognition. Not something he's consistent with at all, but Queen notices before this this offensive player even crosses the 3-point line, Queen is rotating to block up that shot and to wall at the rim. Again, you can see he's not so explosive, but when he's well positioned, which isn't always the case, when he is positioning well, he can be effective just because of his sheer size and length and girth on the interior, for lack of a better word. But yeah, Queen is a fascinating prospect and someone who I feel like I just posted a board and had him. I still had him outside the top 20, but I think that's probably a mistake at this point. I really like Queen, and he is such a fun player to watch, and maybe there's some like aesthetic bias boosts, but overall, like, he is just an incredibly cool player, and I do think the value of these gigantic advantage creators is, maybe I'm being another good rotation right there, but again, you can see the limitations, right? Where sometimes even if he's in position, this is great, vertical, up and down, just not much he can do. And can he be a solid defender? I think like I keep coming back to thinking about like a mini version of Alperen Şengün in terms of a guy who like has become a really nice defender without great vertical pop and without great traditional rim protection, and obviously is a legit creator on offense. But even him, like a player as good as Şengün, I think has team building kind of constraints, because you have to be so good at like getting defensive guys on the wing, which makes your offense overall worse. But another solid job by Queen on the perimeter. He's like, I think we've seen a decent amount of it, and then you can see like the motor concerns potentially. But it's also late in the second half, and Maryland's up in a blowout, so I'm not going to ding Queen too much for a play like that. But definitely have some real concerns with Queen. But he's a type of player who, like, I love advantage creators. I love dynamic players who can create shots for themselves and others, and Queen's passing is so much better. If you haven't watched much of Queen, like, go look up some of his assists if you can, or some highlights. They're absolutely awesome. But yeah, Queen is great. I'd love to do a full, more in-depth scouting video on him later in the season, because he's going to be someone I'm watching and tracking really closely, and I hope you enjoy him as much as I do.